Hi, it's Mark with another episode of On the Go with Mark. Today we're going to go over my Schwinn CrissCross that I bought off Craigslist to turn into a touring bike. I'll show you some of the changes that I've already made, and I'm going to put new handlebars, shifters, brake levers, and a new stem on it today to help fit it out the way that I want for my upcoming bike tour. Stick around. There's my Schwinn CrissCross, the bike that I bought off Craigslist to turn into my touring bike. What I liked about this is it has a steel frame, nice geometry. It's geared for hills and it's geared for road biking. It's got 38C tires and just overall seems to be a good bike for what I'm going to use it for. A couple changes I already made. You can see I swapped out the saddle and I put a nice Brooks B17 saddle on there. And then I also changed the tires to Schwalbe Marathon Plus touring tires. It's got some puncture resistance and it looks like they'll be pretty good rolling for me over the terrain. I'm going to be mostly staying on roads and fine gravel bike trails. So I added a couple of water bottles, and then what I'm going to do today is, you can see the handlebar's not set up very good. The gear shifters are a twist type of gear shifter. And so we're going to change all of that out. I got the Velo Orange Crazy bars, new shifters, new brake levers, a new stem so that it'll fit, and I got new pads for the new handlebars. So should be pretty nice when I'm done, and we'll move things inside and start changing it out. So the first thing that we need to do is cut all these cables, because we got all new brake lever cables and all new shifter cables. Then we're just going to loosen the stem and we should be able to pull the handlebars right up. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to change this out right here and put a new cable end in, because in the old setup the brake cable went through the handlebar and then the cable came through, the housing stopped inside the handlebar, and we don't have that on the new handlebar. So we had to get this cable end right here that's going to fit around inside the headset. And I already loosened this. We'll take this piece off, and there's two spacers in here. We're going to take off both of these spacers, put the new cable end in there, and then we're just going to put one spacer back on, because the thickness of this new bracket should take up the same amount as one of these spacers did. And then we'll tighten this piece back on. And then, just so we don't scratch up the finish on that, I'm just putting a rag around it so that I can tighten it. Okay, that'll do that. The next step is we're going to put in the new stem. And it's really important because of the dissimilar metals. Since we have a steel tube, but we've got an aluminum stem, we need to put some grease on there. Just a light layer will do that. And that's just to prevent electrolysis and prevent those from welding together. So we're just going to take our finger here, a little layer of multi-purpose grease, and get down inside there, put a layer of grease inside. We'll just get down there as far as we can. And then we're just going to take a layer and we're just going to put it right onto the stem. Doesn't need to be a thick layer, just something so that the metals don't come in direct contact, a little barrier between the two. And I'm only going up to, there's a minimum line for the stem that it has to be inserted, at least that amount. That's the minimum amount to insert. So I'm just going to put the grease on up to that point, because I want my handlebars up higher, so I don't think I'm going to go much deeper with the stem than that. And we'll just line that forward part of the stem up with the tire and try to get it on straight. We can always fine tune it after a bit. The other thing I did here was I bought an adjustable stem so that I can change this angle here. There's a bolt underneath that we can loosen, and then we can change the pitch of this stem. And that way try to get the most custom fit so that it's comfortable for long rides. So now we'll put this in, the handlebar, and we've got this front bracket to the stem that's going to secure the handlebars in place. And one thing to watch for is sometimes there's an emblem on the front here. Mine doesn't have it. So if you're doing this, just make sure you get the emblem facing the right direction when you put it on the first time. It's pretty easy to change, but if you get it right the first time, then there's nothing left to adjust. And we'll take an Allen wrench and we're going to tighten these screws down right here. And I just didn't even really snug the first one down because I want to tighten these down pretty evenly and get these handlebars lined up right in the middle. The other thing that you'll notice is these aren't perfectly level. These are angled down a little bit. That's just my preference. I noticed that my comfortable hand position would have that down angle a little bit. So I'm just going to install these the first time with that angle. And then again, I can make adjustments either here or up here and twist the handlebar. Okay, next step on this is we're going to start installing shifters and brake levers. These shifters just slide on. And then a smaller Allen wrench will secure those in place. And I'm just going to loosely secure them in place right now because I have to get the shifters on top of it, and I want to feel the thumb and make sure those are in there right about where I want them. Okay, that feels about right there. Next step is to slide on our new brake levers. We're going to lightly secure those in place as well. I won't really know where I'm going to want them until I get out and ride. So I might just want to make a easy adjustment on how the angle on which it connects into the handlebar. I'm not going to move it up or down any because hand grips will go here and that'll take up all the space. So it's just going to be a matter of rotating it on the handlebar and securing it in the most comfortable position for me. You can see the shifters came with their own cable, but the brakes did not. So there's a groove along here, and we just have to line all this up so all these grooves are right there together. Yeah, we have to put some cable housing in there, and I'm just going to reuse the ones that I've already got, see if those will work. Once I get them on there, we'll twist the handlebars a little bit. We'll make sure they don't bind up. But I'm going to get some of this work done, and we'll just do that off camera and come back. Okay, I wanted to show you this brake lever again since it's closer to the camera. There's this groove, a slot right there. It goes through the two end pieces here on the brake. So we'll put the brake cable end into that slot. We'll run it through its grooves. And then we can run it through the brake cable housing. And then I've already done this on the shifters and the other brake cable. But what I want to show you here is this final piece before I tighten down the connections. The one thing, if you're doing this, what you want to check for is that your handlebars aren't binding. So you take your handlebars and look at your cable housings and you'll turn it. What you want to make sure is that you've got the freedom to turn without any of these housings twisting around the stem and binding your ability to steer the bike. Okay, one of the last things I have to do is put the handlebar grips on. And the way that we'll do that to get them to slide right on is we'll just get them lubed up with some rubbing alcohol. And then they should slide on pretty easily. So we've got one on, and then we'll get the other one lubed up with the alcohol. Make sure we've got the area where the thumb, it narrows a little bit for the thumb. We'll make sure we got the going on the right direction. And then when that alcohol evaporates, it should be on there just fine and stay. There we go. So the only thing left to do is I've got to clip some brake cables and some shifter cables to the right length. I think I've got everything dialed in pretty good. And then we'll go. I'll do some test riding and we'll dial it in to where it's comfortable to ride. So finishing this up, I've got to throw out a thank you to 2 YouTube channels that helped me learn the steps that I need to do to switch all of these components out today. The first one is RJ the Bike Guy. If you like looking at what can be done with bikes, he's got a great channel. The other one is Bike Man for You. He also does a lot of videos with simple changes you can make to bikes to help them suit you a little bit better. So big thanks to those 2. This is Mark with On the Go with Mark. I want to thank you for watching today. If you liked it, you can give this video a thumbs up. Also, you can subscribe to my channel. I'm outfitting this bike for a 325-mile tour of the Ohio to Erie Trail. That goes from the Ohio River in Cincinnati to Lake Erie in Cleveland, and that's coming up later this summer. I've also got an AT section hike coming up in a few weeks. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and I've got a website. There's links to all of those from my YouTube channel homepage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time that we're on the go. Today, while I changed out my handlebars stem set, shift